Hey, it's Sunday, so I thought I'd do a little bit of a live thing here, chat about real estate a bit and what's happening. And if you're here live, feel free to jump in and ask your questions, shout out where you're um, listening from, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd love to interact if you have anything you have questions about or comments about, or any real estate topics you want to talk about. Um, so this week's been a big week for me. This is a personal thing, but we have moved a tiny house off site. I have a 3 acre property here in North Carolina, and I built a tiny house, a custom tiny house in 2017. I built it out of all reclaimed materials when I was doing, as a carpenter, and I had a remodeling business for a number of years. And I saved a bunch of really cool wood and salvage stuff, and then I built this sort of custom tiny house that I lived in out here for 8 years, and just sold it and had house movers come and take it away. And it was crazy to watch the process and how they handle moving a building. And anyway, I'm going to post more about it on my Instagram and stuff, but pretty wild. And it's a big chapter changing for me because I'm building a bigger house out here on this acreage. And yeah, it's just the end of an era and doing something new. And so I'm here in this camper temporarily, and I'm going to be staying at the beach also part time. But yeah, if you're here live, like I said, feel free to drop messages in the chat. And I'm just going to go through the week in business and talk about a few topics. So, our big news in business right now, I posted a little bit about this, but we're switching from Podio to RESimpli for our CRM, and that's been a major project. We got a 2 week free trial, and that wasn't enough time for us to get onboarded and figure out what we're doing in there, which is kind of frustrating because I was hoping it would be a little bit easier of a transition. But I did a longer video on this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But ReSimpli is very different than Podio, and they've got a lot of cool features. I would say, foremost so far is that there's in-app calling and in-app texting. They do give you some skip traces, so you can skip trace in-app. You can pull cash buyers in-app and all that stuff. So it's kind of an all-in-one, which was the allure of it. But I'm not sure that I love it, and I'm hoping that I and me and my team can get ourselves acclimated to it and use all the features and enjoy it, and that it's an upgrade from Podio. But jury is still out. Their service is a little bit spotty. I'll say that, and I'll leave it there. Um, as far as the week KPIs, we got 3 contracts this week. So Wilson, our acquisitions um, sales manager, is just crushing it with building rapport with sellers. I mean, a couple of these that he's gotten this week were from long follow-ups over a period of months, and that's really cool to see. Um, and it's follow-up is king, right? In this business, if you just keep following up, eventually they might be ready to sell when and you're there and you're the person they remember. Especially if you keep a positive rapport and just connection, and it's not like a big high pressure sales thing, but just like, hey, I'm here if you're ready to sell, and even if you can solve problems for them or offer them resources, then maybe they'll come back and do a deal with you later. So that's awesome. 3 contracts this week, 3 contracts last week. Let me just look at these and see what we got here. We do a lot in Slack, so we got like I can look in our Slack thread and see what's posted because I don't know how to use ReSimpli yet. But yeah, I guess these aren't going to tell me if they're land or house. I know this one was acreage, and I think these other 2 are houses. We've specialized in land for most of the time we've been in business. Since 2021 was our first full year. Um, but lately, because we've done so much marketing to land, especially in North Carolina, we've also been doing some houses just because we can't keep texting the same people, reaching out to the same people over and over without driving them crazy and wasting our time and money, and annoying the sellers. So we're just branching out and doing houses, and we're also doing some other states. We're doing done a little bit in Florida, a little bit in Ohio, and we may do some other states as well. But Yeah, so we've got a mix of land and houses, but I think we've got in disposition right now we have 7, and I think 2 are land and 5 are houses, or maybe it's 3 are land and 4 are houses. But anyway, that's our balance right now. And we have one of these is a 10-acre lot, which we don't normally do, but every once in a while we do bigger acreage. Usually we keep it under 5 acres when we're pulling this, and then yeah, some houses in various counties in North Carolina. So that's cool. Our SMS, we ramped up to, we had scaled back a little bit because we were restructuring our business, but we're at 6,000 SMS sent every day, roughly, on Smarter Contact. So we're getting, I think about 40. Sorry, I got to turn off this AC. It's blowing on me. I think we're getting roughly 40 to 50 leads per week on 6,000 per day, like 30,000 per week, 5 days a week, 6,000 times 5 days. And yeah, 40 or 50 leads a week off of that, off of the SMS. And yeah, so that's pretty good. And we're using Smarter Contact for that, which we've been using for quite a while now, and it works pretty well. One of the nice things about Smarter Contact is that if a seller tries to call you, you can take inbound calls in the app, which you can't do in Launch Control. It's one of the biggest positives, I think, in that Smarter Contact versus Launch Control. So yeah, if you're in the live, drop your name if you want, or drop where your market is, where you're working, or any comments or questions. I'm happy to jump in, talk about anything. So what we're doing SMS. So yeah, SMS this week we got 40 leads on 30K. Oh, I was going to do response rate. Our response rate has been roughly 5 or 6% lately. We've been using the deal machine leads because it's super cheap right now, and we were like in a budget crunch, so we opened 2 different deal machine accounts, and we pull, like, they get 60K skips per account, or it's not really skips within that. Every skip is free within the platform, but the downloads cost. So we kind of count those as skips. But anyway, we've been using that data. So I don't know if that's like worse than our direct skip. I have to look at that. But I think our lowest response rate for a list this week was 4 point something, and our highest was 7 point something. And most of them were in the 5 to 6 range. So we're somewhere in the high 5 to low 6% response rate for SMS using deal machine lists and Smarter Contact for texting. And then as far as solds, we didn't sell any this week. We've got, like I said, 7 in dispo. We had to get some photos of the houses and lockboxes and stuff on that, so it takes a little while sometimes to get ready to actually push those out. But I think a couple of them might be slightly overpriced, which is, we thought we had a good deal on a couple of them. One of them, we didn't realize it was a manufactured home, and one of our VIP buyers said, yeah, I'm not interested in that because it's manufactured. So we missed that one. We thought it was a regular house. And so I think we might be slightly overpriced on that. I think we will try MLS on that one, and one of the other houses we have that it's gotten a little bit of a slow response so far. And yeah, we have all of our contracts right now are in North Carolina, except we have one in Florida. We have a duplex in Florida. So yeah, as far as solds, no solds, but we're working on it. We got 7 to work with, so that's nice. As far as closings, we had no closings this week. We were supposed to close one on Friday that we've had in escrow for, I would say, 4 to 5 months. And it's a property, it's a vacant lot with, I think, 9 heirs that have to sign every time we do something. So when we sign the contract, with the initial contract, they all had to sign. We have to track them down, send them mobile notaries. They're all over the country. And then with the addendum, when we extended it, and then we had to do some title work and different affidavits and stuff, and all these people every time. So Krisa, who does our transaction management and our team, has been a trooper with like reaching out to all these people and staying on top of them and getting everything signed. But we had an issue where there was a long lost heir. There were eight people accounted for, and one person they couldn't find, and even the brothers and sisters didn't know where this guy was. And finally, miraculously, a week or 2 ago, he appeared, and he's willing to sign and sell this property. So Now, we're on the track to closing, and we were supposed to close it Friday. I think the buyer wired his funds on Friday. It will probably record on Monday and close. So that's a huge victory to have one that's been dragging on, and we thought we probably wouldn't close. We were, ready to throw in the towel on it after a lot of work, and we spent some money on title work, and but it's going to turn into a closing. And because we spent money on title work, we won't make as much as we might have, but I think we'll make between $7,000 and $8,000 assignment fee on that. So it's a victory, definitely money that we didn't expect to have. And other closing news, we have four, including that one. We have three others, so we have four total in escrow set to close in October. So that's great. And knock on wood, so far everything seems to be on track. One of them we're waiting on a survey. One of them we are waiting on a probate process, but it's the publication is already happening. Like, you have to publish in a periodical or a newspaper, and then after that happens, you can close on it. So we're in that phase. So we should be able to close that one in the next couple of weeks. And then we have, another one that's a vacant lot. So those closings coming up. The one I mentioned is a vacant lot. We have two other vacant lots, and then one of them is a house that was basically a tear down. We might have even found it when we were marketing for land, and then there was a house there, but it was basically a tear down. Like $75K in rehab was what one of our VIPs estimated, and he had done the house next door, so he knew. And but we were able to get it sold, and we'll make a decent profit on it. So that's great. That was another one with a lot of errors, and our transaction coordinator had to track people down and deal with both our acquisition sales manager and the transaction coordinator had to go back and forth with the seller a lot to get that one nailed. But anyway, so yeah, that's a good thing. And we're just trying to get some of these 7 in dispo sold so that we can get some more closings, maybe even squeeze 1 or 2 more closings into October, and then put some in escrow for November. Keep rolling. What else we got here? In escrow, dispo, closed, sold, contracts. Talked about the CRM, talked about the tiny house. I don't know what other topics I have right now. I don't have any deal breakdowns ready to go, and I'd have to dig in here and try and figure it out. So this might be a short one, just a brief weekly check-in. I'll create a new format. It's transitioning from Jasper not doing this anymore while he's taking a hiatus. I have to figure out how to do a solo podcast and have like an agenda, unless people are in here asking questions and stuff. So feel free to jump on these and ask questions and start a conversation, because that's a fun way to do a live. Otherwise, I'm just talking, and I'm an introvert, so I don't love to talk. But if you've tuned in, thanks for listening. And if you have any topics you'd like me to touch on in the future, please drop them in the comments. If you're on live now, it's last call before I sign off. So if you got any questions or comments, drop them in. We'll touch on them. Otherwise, I'm going to call it a wrap, and I'll try and come up with more of an agenda for next time with some topics. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and hope everyone has a great end of your weekend and great start to the week.